Picture this. You're at the airport, bags packed, passport in hand, ready for that dream vacation. But wait, what's that? The TSA officer is shaking his head, and you are now thinking, what did I do wrong? Your ID is no longer valid. Now the panic sets in. But then it would be too late. It's May 2025 and everything's changed. But don't worry, we're about to dive into everything you need to know, so you don't end up stranded at security, desperately Googling, what do I do if my ID doesn't work? Spoiler alert, that's a terrible way to start a vacation. First up, and this is the one that might cause a few gasps, your driver's license might not work for air travel anymore. Yep, the old trusty license you've been flashing at TSA for years will no longer be good enough unless it has something special. The real ID. Starting May 7th, 2025, if you don't have that little gold or black star on the corner of your license, it's basically just a fancy library card to airport security. Now here's where it gets tricky. Only about 60% of Americans have a real ID right now, so if you haven't gotten yours yet, you're not alone. But don't panic just yet. There's still time. Let's break down how you can get one. First, you'll need to make a dreaded trip to the DMV. I know, the DMV is about as much fun as getting a root canal. But here's a little tip to make it less painful. Make an appointment. Most DMVs allow you to book ahead, so you can avoid sitting in a crowded waiting room staring at the blinking number screen for hours. When you go, be prepared. It's like putting together a puzzle with documents. You'll need your passport or birth certificate, proof of residence, a utility bill works, and your social security card. Just imagine yourself like Indiana Jones. But instead of searching for the Holy Grail, you're on a quest for the perfect paperwork combo. Once you've got all that, getting your real ID is a piece of cake. Well, more like a piece of cake that takes a few weeks to bake because processing times can be longer than you expect. So, if you're planning a trip anytime soon, don't wait until the last minute. Nobody wants to scramble for this 2 days before vacation. But what if you're a procrastinator? We've all been there. Maybe you just didn't have time to gather your papers, or maybe you're one of those I work best under pressure types. No judgment. Luckily, there are backup options. Your passport will still get you through airport security, and so will global entry or a military ID. Veterans, your VA health card will also work, but you have to make sure it's updated. Pro tip. Always double-check what forms of ID work for travel, just in case the rules change. Here's something a lot of people don't know. Keep your current ID even after you apply for your real ID. Why? Because depending on your state, it might take a little while to receive your new ID in the mail, and you'll want to keep your old one on hand until that happens. It's kind of like holding on to your ex's number just in case. You probably won't need it, but better safe than sorry. Okay, moving on from the exciting world of IDs, let's talk passports. This one is a game changer. Starting in 2025, you'll finally be able to renew your passport online. Yes, you heard that right. No more dragging yourself to the post office and standing in line, trying to find a place with decent lighting for that dreaded passport photo. Instead, you can do it all from the comfort of your couch. Just you, your laptop, and some snacks. Passport renewal bliss. But of course, there are a few catches. This new system isn't open to everyone. To renew online, your passport has to be between 9 and 15 years old. Any younger or older than that, and you'll have to stick with the old-fashioned method. Your passport also has to be undamaged, so if it's taken one too many dunks in the pool on vacation, you're out of luck. Plus, this new system is only available to people living in the US, so if you're living abroad and thinking, oh, sweet, I can renew my passport from my apartment in Paris, sorry, you'll have to find another way. And speaking of passport renewals, let's talk about that photo. You can't just snap a selfie and call it a day. Passport photos have some very specific requirements. No glasses, no hats, unless it's for religious reasons, and definitely no filters. It's got to be a plain white background, and your face has to be fully visible, looking straight at the camera. Think school photo day, but without the awkward class backdrop. And no, you can't smile. You'll want to get it done professionally, because the last thing you want is to have your application rejected over a bad photo. That's like the ultimate travel buzzkill. Another heads up. As soon as you start your online renewal, your current passport becomes invalid. So if you're planning a trip anytime soon, don't renew your passport just yet. The whole process can take 8 to 10 weeks, and that's the standard timeline. There's no rush option either, so plan accordingly. Once it's done, you can track the entire process online. which is kind of cool, like watching a package get delivered, but way more important. Now let's talk about Europe, and if you're planning a European vacay in 2025, there's a new rule you need to know. No, not a new way to order baguettes. We're talking about ETIAS. Starting next year, Americans will need ETIAS approval to enter most European countries. It's basically Europe's version of a background check for tourists. The good news is it's super cheap, just $7.50, and the even better news is that it's valid for 3 years. So if you're planning to hop around Europe, this little approval will save you a ton of headaches down the road. Here's how it works. You'll apply online, and most approvals will come through within minutes. But because this is travel we're talking about, there's always a chance it could take longer, up to 14 days in some cases. So if you're planning a spontaneous weekend in Paris, lucky you, make sure you apply for ETIAS well in advance. You wouldn't want to be stuck in the airport while your friends are sipping wine at a French cafe. And here's a little bonus tip. ETIAS isn't just for flying. You'll need it for any entry into Europe, whether you're cruising, driving, or even taking a train. So, no loopholes here. And yes, kids need it too, although they don't have to pay the fee. And if you're over 70, congratulations. You also get a free pass on the fee. Europe's rolling out the red carpet for you. All right, let's get real about airport security. I know some of us were hoping that by 2025, the liquid limits would disappear and we'd all be able to bring full-size shampoo through security like civilized humans. But sadly, the 100 milliliter rule is sticking around, and it's not going anywhere. So if you've gotten used to those relaxed rules at some airports where they let you bring bigger liquids, don't get too comfy. The official rule is still in place, and we're all back to decanting our toiletries into tiny bottles. Pro tip: buy those TSA-approved liquid bags and containers before you get to the airport. Trust me, you don't want to be the person holding up the security line, frantically trying to figure out how to stuff your entire skincare routine into a quart-sized bag. Baggage, baggage, baggage. It's the bane of every traveler's existence, especially when you're traveling with European airlines. Did you know that not all airlines have the same size requirements for carry-ons? Some airlines are fine with a 22-inch bag, while others are super strict and only allow up to 21 inches, or even less. And yes, that includes the wheels and the handle. So my best advice is to measure everything before you pack. There's nothing worse than getting to the gate and realizing your bag doesn't fit in that metal size checker thing. And there you have it, the 2025 travel changes that could seriously impact your next trip. I know some of this might feel overwhelming, but a little prep goes a long way. Don't be that person scrambling at the airport while the TSA gives you side-eye because you didn't get your ID sorted, or worse, stuck at security with a bag that doesn't meet the new size restrictions. Seriously, it's not fun. Oh, and here is a last-minute tip. Always, and I mean always, keep an eye on updates from your airline and the country you're visiting. Rules can change in the blink of an eye, especially with the fast pace of tech improvements and shifting regulations. Also, downloading your airline's app can be a lifesaver. Real-time notifications for flight delays, gate changes, and even refund alerts? Yes, please. If you're planning a trip soon, double-check your passport expiration date. Start working on that real ID, and maybe even consider going digital with your travel documents. It's not just about getting through security faster, it's about traveling smart. And let me wrap this up now. If you found these tips helpful and want to stay ahead of all the latest travel changes, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way, you'll never miss an update that could make or break your next adventure. If you know someone planning a trip in 2025, share this video with them. They'll thank you when they breeze through security stress-free. Safe travels, everyone.